6:31. Thanks for coming out in the cold. The first thing on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes from November 12th.
Move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks, Mo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Can I abstain from that one? I wasn't here for that one either.
Sure.
Thank you.
Accept the meeting minutes of February 6th for review.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Nope.
Perfect. All right, so I know probably a lot of people are familiar, but there's a separate subcommittee of the Finance Committee that meets to review all the capital budget items that get submitted. So we usually send, I think it's 3 people, right? We usually send 3 people to listen to the presentations and bring it back to this group with, discussion and recommendations. So I'm just trying to figure out if anybody's interested in doing
take
that
one.
this year.
I'd be interested.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You have lots of volunteers.
I got lots of volunteers, so we
Yeah.
need 3.
I was gonna, if we had a shortage, I would have.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay, so
I was
we,
gonna say the same thing. But I'm good, thank you.
so we have 3 people, so does everybody want to do it, or?
All right.
I'll take one.
I can step up then.
Okay,
There's
you sure?
three. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Chris,
Yeah.
you and,
You guys okay? All right, so do I have a motion for Jim and Cheryl and Chris to be on that committee?
make the motion?
Thank you, Mo.
Second?
Thank you, Sue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, so there's 2 meetings in March, the dates TBD, I think, right? Does Christine reach out, or you reach out? Somebody
Yeah,
reaches
the
out.
office will reach.
The office will reach out and let you know when the dates are. I think it's usually like in the afternoon.
Yep.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, so we have Jim and Chris and Cheryl. Excellent. All right, so come on down, data processing. And we do have a couple new people, if you don't mind introducing yourself and.
Yeah, I'm
and
Ed
then
Sarah.
Presenting your budget for us, please.
Okay, data processing coordinator, it's a 3% increase over last year. Office equipment and repairs and GIS, been consistent, $1,000. Data processing services, that bounces back and forth, more forth. With KVS, that goes up pretty consistently. Let's see, network tech consultant, it's increased a little bit over last year, and most of that is renewals on contracts and so forth. The equipment, as the equipment gets older, the renewals get more expensive. So at some point, we have to look at, yeah, we have to start looking at replacing some of the equipment. Internet, we're under contract. This would be our 3rd year with Comcast, and we're E-rated, so they've been the same.
How long
network-
is that contract for, sorry?
3 years.
3?
Yeah.
So
it'll
it'll
be 3
renew
years.
next year?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's only for the internet for the town. It's not for the water department or the police department.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Verizon laying lines in town?
Probably
I heard a
fiber.
rumor to that.
They're
Yeah,
probably doing fiber.
in West Bridgewater.
So theoretically, we could,
Competition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Competition helps.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
Comcast has been really good. I mean, their
Not to me,
pricing has
but-
been really good. We started out with, I think, Windstream, and Comcast pulled them right out of the water.
Really?
When I finally got them to
Reliable.
sit down, yeah. And everything it's been very, very consistent.
Good. That's
Once in
good
a
to
great
hear.
while, we have a blip on the radar.
Sorry,
but
can
for the
you
most part,
talk
it's
about that data processing decrease? I missed that.
Data processing decrease.
Okay, media will place on.
Dave, you would put some money in there for
Yeah, so you
revise.
recall last year, we wanted to update our website, so we put it in the IT budget, and then this year, because it was only a one-time annual fee, that's been reduced.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got network equipment, again, that's been the same consistently. computer supplies and computer equipment have all been basically the same across the board.
Okay,
So it's a pretty easy one this year.
thank you. Anybody have any questions? Excellent.
Okay?
Well, you're
Thank
off
you.
the hook.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
coming. Who's next? Library. If you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hi,
Welcome.
I'm Melanie Terrell. I'm the director of the library.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Okay, so the first line item is appointed official, which is my salary. I'm requesting a 3% cost of living increase. The clerical salary is almost everyone else. I did put in 3% cost of living increase, but it looks a little higher, I think, because it's 52.2 weeks right now, so the percentage looks a little higher. The assistant director position, I also am asking for 3% cost of living increase.
For those 3 lines, are all of those contractual, or are those not yet locked in?
Me and the assistant department head are the only contracted employees at the library.
Got it, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. If we go down to longevity, I think I miscalculated last year by $3, so that's the difference there. Nobody's longevity is changing then this year. Okay, so heating and fuel, I was kind of going off projected increases for heating this upcoming year, so I put $500 increase to keep it kind of flat, and it's 3.85%.
May I ask, is it oil or
It is gas.
it's gas?
That's enough? You think it's
Yeah.
I
gonna?
hope so.
The units are up on the roof.
What's that?
Some of the units are up on the roof and in
Oh,
the back.
For
yeah,
the library?
Yeah. We used to have a lot of trouble with.
yeah. They're most, yeah, they're all, I think, up. They're,
It's an
yeah.
angle in the back.
Yeah.
But you're okay with those numbers, huh?
Yeah, I believe so. We haven't, that heating line item, we don't generally go over it anyway. So I'm hoping it will.
I was just gonna ask if
Stay.
you've had a recent bill.
Yes, so, yes, we have. And it's kind of, we've only, I think, well, we might have had like 2 bills, 2 or 3 since we've, started using the heat this year. But I do think that this year, the $1,350 will cover it.
Yeah, it's gone up quite a lot.
Yeah, I do. We have extra funds. We process passports,
Okay.
so in case of emergency or something like that, we can
You can
use
transfer
that.
it over?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just concerned because
Yeah,
my gas bill doubled.
Yeah,
Oh,
mine did
jeez.
too.
Yeah.
And it's a big building.
yeah. The other thing, so the line item under that is electricity, and we're
Mhm.
not asking for any more because we get a lot of credits from the solar panels.
Oh, good.
So we can kind of balance that out with the heating
Excellent.
as well.
Okay.
Before you move on from the
Yes.
passports, my
Yes.
family and I just went in.
Yes,
And there
you
we got
did.
all of ours. And it was so fast, so easy. And the processing fee goes to the library.
Yes.
So it
Nice.
was fantastic. I was
Yeah.
really happy with it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
You
it's
get the
great.
fees.
We try to fund programming, especially out of that fund, and hold it for emergencies and everything too.
Excellent.
But it's been really helpful.
Good.
Let's see, janitorial property maintenance, I increased 2.13 just to keep it at a solid number, but that's just to cover the cost of increase in supplies.
Mm.
Office equipment repairs and maintenance, 0% increase. The next 2 line items, property maintenance and municipal building repairs, I'm asking for 3,000 more, which is a 20% increase in the first one, and then 25%, and then 1,000 more, which is a 50% increase in the second one. Our building is 35 years old, and we're starting to consistently see different things kind of fail us. We need to replace. We had to replace the water heater this year. We're always having the heat looked at. The sprinkler system has been a big issue. So with what I am asking for the property maintenance line item, I was going off what we already spent this year because we've already gone over budget. But that was for a big replacement that should have been replaced sooner, and instead it was repaired and then replaced. So I know it's hard to really expect what's going to break, especially in older buildings, but that's my rationale for those requests.
Okay.
Do we still have the municipal building needs committee?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not, it's the new people that run it though. It's not,
Only
for
because you
me.
mentioned something that had to be replaced, and you know if that was part of it. Just asking.
Nobody's looking for money.
Yeah, I think I had asked Linda Torres about it, and she had mentioned them at one point. We didn't end up needing to ask for any money, but I believe
It might
she
be good
mentioned
to
it, yeah.
just like consult and think about what you're going to need in the next few years
Okay.
if you're starting to see some of that stuff deteriorate.
Okay.
Just for planning
That be
purposes.
capital.
I was gonna say.
Well, there might be some capital stuff you might need, or there might be, other places to get the funding. What's that other, grants, or what's that other thing?
Well, again, what Mary was referring to is the Municipal Building Needs Committee. So if something breaks in the middle of the year, it's unforeseen, and obviously it has to be done, then that's where the budget's, where they would go. But Jim's right, we haven't had to tap into it for a handful of years. I think the department heads have done a really good job of managing their budgets, and whatever possible, we'll take it out of that so we can keep the money in the Municipal Building Needs Committee. It is not an operating budget, so when we funded a few years ago, it just sits in an article and just
It
sits there.
waits.
So it waits, correct. So it's a nice little rainy day fund to have just in case we need it.
Just something to keep in mind.
I will, thank you. The next three line items, technology, telephone, and office supplies. I am asking for a 0% increase there. The one below that, books and periodicals. So we are required by the state, in order to stay certified from the state, to spend a certain amount of our budget that we receive from the town or on materials. I believe it's 16%. It depends on a lot of different factors. So that's what that increase there is, 4%, which you'll notice is also the total amount that we're asking for an increase is 4%.
Okay.
And then the last three, special programs, dues and meetings, and equipment replacement, we're asking for 0% increase. Okay.
Could you tell us, it's not right to this, but how is the usage in the library?
The usage is
year?
great. It consistently goes up. We when we do our reports every month for the trustees, for the circulation reports, we see the number that was there for, we'll say, January of last year and January of this year, and almost everything is consistently up. The biggest things that are kind of up and down are databases like the usage of Ancestry.com or Gale databases and stuff like that. But as far as the number of users we have daily, cards, the use of the computers, checkouts, especially ebooks and online audio and everything, those are increasing every single year.
I love my
So,
ebooks. Like I
yeah.
downloaded, my niece showed me how to do it. Oh my, saves a lot of money. Just take them out of the library instead of buying them.
Children's
Yeah, it's
programs
great.
are way up,
Yeah. And it's great too because you don't have to worry about returning them. They just
Yeah.
go back when it's time.
Right, right. Yeah, that's been great. I love
Yeah.
it. Any other questions on the budget or anything? No? All right. Oh, one question I had.
Yes.
You had there was a little bit of a time there where you're having some challenges with a lot of kids in the library. Is that kind of settled down?
For the most part, we still have our issues here and there. It's basically the kids don't understand that they're in a public space.
Yeah.
And overall, I just don't think kids know how to behave in public spaces, and it's just after school. So we deal with the issues as they come up. There were a few kids in the fall that we had to ask not to come back until after Christmas. We haven't really seen them, a couple here and there. But otherwise, sometimes it's really just they get carried away with hanging out and everything. But then other times it's like they're in their living room playing with siblings. So that's when it becomes an issue.
Great.
All right,
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Assessors. Come on, down to the hot seat.
No, it's not hot at all. Do you
Not
want?
yet.
No, come on down.
introduce yourselves.
Paula Bunker, I'm the chairman of the Board of Assessors, and this is Daniela Nilsson, our assessor. She formerly was the principal clerk, and she did all the schooling while she was here, and she became our assessor after Anne retired.
Excellent, great.
So if you don't know her, she knows everything in there.
Yeah.
Good
So
to know.
It is a very good thing, and it's worked out very well for us. So we will get right into our budget. You'll see most everything is pretty consistent. Most of our increases are just contractual, and they are really not a lot. We do have one increase. It was, do we put under technology? Web hosting?
Web hosting.
Under web hosting, we have a $7,500 increase that we're asking for. There's a software called Near Maps that we all had viewed, and Daniela did a 2-week test with. Basically, it's a company that does flyovers of the area that we can zoom in on to see all the little intricate details, and Daniela can explain it better because she used it for 2 weeks, and the 2 weeks that she was using it, she was actually doing her work with that. The other software that we have access to use is from the state, and it's free, and you get exactly what you pay for. It's nothing in comparison to this program that Daniela used. And the one really nice thing about this program is everybody can use it. It's not by license, it's not by how many people pay for it. Every department can utilize it. The water department can use it if they so desire, because Deb over there, our GIS person, she used it, she loved it. Board of Health could use it.
What do you use it for? Like, what does it do?
It will show you the area. Like, we could look at your house. We could see how big your deck really is. You said it was this big, we found out it was this big. Or we say that you have a deck, we can look at it and go, oh, yes, she has no deck. So, we can use it to fix any type of mistakes. We can look at things. It has a lot of uses for a lot of different departments. Like inspectional services can utilize it, DPW can use it.
Conservation's huge.
Exactly.
Huge.
Yeah. Because Tim Hay was in on that too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you access it? Could I access it, or do I have to come in?
It's going to be for all town employees can have
Could
access to it.
from home, or you have to come in?
It would be online software, so yeah, you could access it
From home.
from anywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it the same cost every year, or is it just a one-time increase?
There's a contract for it every year. So it's the $7,500, and the selectmen were asking about increases as well. They said that historically increases are anywhere from 3 to 7%.
Okay.
So that doesn't seem outrageous. And if there's a problem and they decide they get too expensive and we just can't do it anymore, we just don't renew the contract.
So you don't have to send anyone out, as you used to do, I suppose, in the past?
No, for some things we still would have to,
Yeah.
but this limits some of the things that we would have to go out for.
So
It
it's
doesn't replace
really
it
the
entirely.
exterior geographical stuff you
Correct.
can track.
Yes, it would be all for that, but I will let Danielle tell you a little bit more about it because she used it for 2 weeks.
So as Paul said, it's high resolution imagery, so it just captures the town in a different way than regular flyovers do. So you just have better view of the whole property, and you can actually go around the property and see it in that kind of a way. The measurement tools are accurate up to 6 inches.
What
So
is
you
it?
can, 6 inches. So you can measure exterior dimensions from the software itself, even height and width, pitch of roofs, everything like that, all through the software. They fly over 2 to 3 times a year, depending on the weather. So we will have consistent data that you can then go back and forth and see over the years what's changed and how our town has changed, not only with buildings, but landscaping and infrastructure. You can see it all through the imagery that they capture. So it's just another tool that we could use to just have better assessments. A lot of assessing is assumption. If you pulled a permit for a deck and I can't see your backyard, I have to assume what's there or what's not there. So it's just a better tool to have better data because our assessing is as good as our data. So
it's not real time, like if somebody's having a cookout, you're not gonna.
No. We can't look and see that you're over the limit of people in your backyard, no.
A lot of other towns are using it by the looks of things, too.
yeah,
Yes.
so they're already up to 128 different towns and agencies that use that. And like Paula said, we had a 2-week trial, so Inspectional Services was on it, and Deb Taylor from GIS, and we used it. just to get a feel for it, and it was impressive. It's a good tool to have.
Do you think that would be useful for like appeals? For
Yes,
cases?
exactly. Yep,
Probably
that
come in
would
really
help
handy,
with that,
I
yep.
would imagine.
Especially where you can go back.
Exactly.
You know, you can see what something looked like 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago.
Yep.
It's a nice little tool to have.
That's good. I have a question about that. How can you go back if you haven't purchased it prior?
They're doing the flyovers, we just don't have access to it because we don't have a
Oh,
contract with
okay,
them.
thank you. It's like,
Yeah,
that doesn't
they
make
have
any
all the
sense to me.
information.
So
Okay.
when you get the contract, you get prior year information as well? It's not just this point forward?
Right.
Oh,
That's what I didn't
I
understand.
didn't
Yeah.
understand
I
that.
like that.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it's a little big brotherish.
And it did say AI in here too.
They do
so
use some
there's
AI,
sort of-
yes, yeah. I think they're just gonna keep expanding what they can offer, which is interesting.
The world's getting to be a scary place. All right, any other questions on this budget? Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Water department, I thought I saw Wayne, there he is.
Hey, Wayne.
See, your support team showed up.
Yeah, I don't think I ever told him that this meeting was tonight. I did tell him about last night's
I said he
meeting.
might be here.
Okay. If you don't mind introducing yourself, we have a couple new members.
All right, I'm Wayne Parks, Superintendent of the Water Department.
Thank you. So this looks like a lot of movement here, Wayne. Can you walk us through?
I'll walk you through. All right, so we'll start at the top at 5109, and that's by contract. 5110 is a 0%. 5111, appointed official by contract. 5112, clerical salaries. So that looks like a big number, and the selectmen called that one out. That's a 5% step increase. It's a 3% raise, and I've also increased the hours we want her there. That's to back up Kerry, because we only have Kerry. We get a lot of complaints that residents can't get to anybody. Even though we have an answer machine, and Kerry takes the phone home and calls back at night and all hours, they just get mad. So that's to cover for when Kerry's not there. She's a long-term employee, so she has vacation time and sick time. I also want somebody to begin learning the billing system. Kerry is the only one that knows the billing system. I know the metering side of it. I have nothing to do with the billing part of it.
So this is an increase in hours as well?
Yes, that's why it seems gigantic. But if
Yeah.
they don't get used, they, you know, it won't get spent out. It's not
Hourly employees.
right. You all set?
Yep.
All right. Labor is 5113. That's up 1.91%. I'm about to come up to 5 people. I'll be a full crew again. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, you found somebody?
Yes.
Good. Right?
Yep. 5118, office manager, that's by contract. 5120, temporary salaries is a 0. 5130, overtime, 6%. With 5 people, most of our overtime comes from hydrant flushing season. They go out after we sample, do our bacteria samples in September, and they stop just short of the end of October. So they're out there for almost 2 full months, and they put in some long hours. They'll be out there from 6 sometimes until 2 a.m., depending upon how dirty the system is.
That's because it has to be in a specific window of time?
Well, we do it when usage is lower. Like if we did it in the daytime, we've done things in the daytime before, and then we get people's laundry at us, so.
Oh, okay.
Because you stir up, the idea is to raise the velocity of the water coming down the pipe, and then you drag it from hydrant to hydrant. Some hydrants are longer, so you might be there sitting there for 15 minutes waiting for the water to get to you. So the houses in between see
Get all
what's
the
coming
stuff,
by.
yeah.
And it always happens, that's when people change their water filters just before we come by. 5140 is by contract. We have 3 long-term employees.
That's a pretty big hike.
Yeah, well, as you
Because
increase,
3 people hit it
yes,
at the same time.
yes.
It's a big percentage, yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's not a lot of dollars.
5170, the town will fill that in when they get their numbers. 5171 is the town again. 5174 is the town again.
It's all the insurances.
Yeah. We don't get back to me until we get down to 5190.
Right, and just so everybody knows, whenever you see town, right now, that's just a filler. So I won't know, our insurance rates, we're on the fiscal year, July 1st, so I won't have some of those numbers for another 30 days. So I always go back in, backfill the water department, so wherever you see either retirement or insurance, property insurance, health insurance, whenever it says town, that those numbers I'll backfill once I get them. Sorry, Wayne.
No, that's fine. 5190, allowances and stipends, that's by contract. 5183, stayed at 0. 5210, heating, I went up by 5%. Everybody knows, actually the state's requesting them to go down by 5%, but everybody's bills are up astronomical. We haven't had cold in a long time, and now we're facing it. We'll see how we get through that. Our buildings are fairly well insulated. My predecessor liked foam insulation, so he insulated pretty well. 5211, that's up by 5%. We use a lot of electricity. We have a lot of moving parts. We also get solar credits from the town also. 5230, water. This is what we pay to Easton for, we have residents over there, so Easton bills us, we bill the residents at our rates.
Do you get a water bill?
Yes. Yep, and I get no credit. They use my house for a sample and I don't get a credit for that either.
No, I mean at the office.
Oh, no, we don't get a water bill.
So when you get this water from
Easton,
Brockton or Easton,
Yep, we have.
you charge it out, like, or is it net, is it neutral?
So, I don't think so. I think Easton is higher than us.
Okay.
And Brockton is probably, they have water and sewer, so I don't really look at them. But they send us, the bills come to us, and we use the usage to bill out at our rates.
Okay.
5240, property maintenance, that stayed at 0. Vehicle maintenance, 5242, stayed at 0. 5243, equipment repair maintenance, stayed at 0. 5248, road repairs, stayed at 0. Preventive maintenance, 5249, stayed at 0. Watershed maintenance, 5250, stayed at 0. Hydrant repairs, 5255, stayed at 0. Equipment hire, 5270, stayed at 0.
You could probably skip through all
All
the
right.
ones you're holding flat, right?
Yep.
Unless there's
That
anything
brings
to talk
us
about.
all the way down to 5305, which is Ed. The first line is his biggest line, but it was actually offset. His other two lines actually went down. So when I put the numbers in, it actually was a break even.
Sorry, say that again? This is the network
Yes.
consultants?
Yep.
Okay.
Laboratory services, 5315. So we had to pilot. As part of it, we saved money by doing our own in-house pilot on the short-term solution to Manly. I had to do a lot of sampling, and it cost me a lot of money on my budget. We're about to finish in July. They think they're going to turn over the long-term solution to us. And once again, I'm probably going to be required to pull a whole pile of samples and pilot again. So that's why you see this line increase to cover the cost of those samples. One PFAS sample is $600 currently. That will probably go up as it went along. It went up from 400 to 600 in the time that we've known PFAS exists. The next line, borrowing costs went down because we don't have anything. The network equipment, that's it, that went down. That was the offset. On this page, so for me, there's no zip. The next increase is 5423, backflow testing. So we hire an outhouse, and we outsource this so that somebody else does all of the testing on the equipment, and we back charge whoever it is that has the test done, so that we make a little money on it and we cover our costs for the outsourced testing. We don't do it in-house because we did it once and something failed and we couldn't repair it. And that, when it fails, it dumps to the floor. So the place that it dumped was not a place you wanted that to happen. So we stopped doing in-house testing as a result. My next increase is pipes, meters, and fittings. That's up 112. So that's to budget. I included 40 meters to cover the Scotland Street development that's going on. We have about 29 houses on Crescent Street that are going to go in. So that's so that I have the money there to buy the meters. And the cost of brass has gone up astronomically, so that covers some of that too.
But that's recouped.
We recouped that cost, yes.
Yeah.
But I have to come up with the money to
Yes,
buy the meters
right,
and
yeah.
the fittings along the way.
Why do they use brass so much? Is there a reason?
Because it's more durable, it's heavier. Copper is malleable, you can crush it, but brass is a solid piece of metal,
It doesn't corrode.
and it doesn't corrode.
You know, like stainless? Or,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Stainless is more expensive though.
Yeah.
The state water tax 5621, went up by 5%. That's what the state charges us to subsidize DEP on the amount of water that we produce. So last year, I think it was like 241 million gallons of water. So we'll be charged at whatever they determine the rate is for that.
And you think it's going up 5%?
Yeah, they've never not gone up. But they won't determine the rate until just before they send the bill.
They just want to see how much they need.
Yeah. 5740 Fleeton, once again, that's the town. It'll get backfilled before we go to town meeting. 5743 is the town. School education, 5784. I've got new employees that I have to send out, and I have employees that want to raise their license level, so that covers 5 people going out for training and to acquire their licenses. After that, we're into my debt. So a lot of the debt has gone down or been erased. Some of the debt we're going to pay off in this fiscal year. So that's why you see my budget as a whole actually went down.
So will you decrease the water rates because the budget's going down this much?
So you do not want to start cycling it. Manley Street long-term, that debt we're actually spending out. The building is actually up. It'll be sealed to the weather completely, probably by the end of this week. They want to turn that over to us by July. I've been told we won't make a payment this year on the SRF loan, which is a 0% loan. We got applied, I want to say 1.6. I think we got 1.6 out of another grant that I applied for and received out of the Clean Water Trust. So when that, next year, that will hit. So what you see from my budget that went down, well, it will come back up next year, in next fiscal year.
So are we in good shape for water supply for the anticipated growth?
So you can never tell with 40Bs because they just come in and run rampant. And the town's done a good job at holding them off and picking up land where they could. But there's no telling what anybody could do. There's some big pieces of farmland still out there that are available, and those people still retain them, so.
Yeah, but are you talking about the Scotland Street and the ones that we know
The ones
about?
that we have, what we have right now, Scotland Street, Crescent Street, we're all set.
We are for current, what we
Yes.
know about. Okay.
Yeah.
40B water rates less than everyone else?
No, they're the same as everybody else. There's no break on the water there, what we charge for installs or anything.
And what do we have in surplus right now?
Right now, we have 200 and, I want to say like 15, but you're going to see me at the Capitol meeting, and we'll be drawing down on some of it.
So I'm still not following why the rates would go down if your budget's going down this much.
So,
because in theory, you'll be collecting too much.
I also
money,
have,
right?
so in 2 years, we have a $1 million remetering program that will start, that should be spread out over 5 years. Whoever's behind me will inherit that. So what we need to do is start putting money into some articles for the programs that aren't currently funded. We're gonna take on a lot of debt in the future. The water department's gonna kind of be underwater big time. More
So are
than,
you
Bad pun.
planning on putting the money that you're
yes, if we have
collecting
surplus, it's gonna go
towards that?
towards the metering program, 'cause that's coming up.
Anticipated
Yes,
problem.
no, I know it's coming up. I re-metered half of the town when I took over because they weren't working, so I know when they're all gonna die.
I
Okay.
think I remember you talking at that time about saving money for the next time this happens.
Yes, and we've just never, like, PFAS came along, the manganese that they decided to suddenly start watching, so we've always been behind the 8 ball, we just can't get ahead. So if we have some free cash that comes up, that's where it should go, so, and if they spread it over 5 years, the sting won't be as bad. Because I can remember Eldon asking, how many times are you gonna come back for meters? And I told him only once, because I counted. So I knew how many meters I needed.
And so that big allocation of money, how's that project going?
Which one? The Sear Norman?
I think it was like $10 million for some water treatment.
So you're gonna see me once again at the Capitol meeting. That project it's been accepted by SRF. So, and we have it. We got turned down when we went for the PFAS part of it, so they're not taking on as many SRF projects anymore, so we don't wanna let that go. So we're racing through the engineering right now. I just had some meetings today on that. You're gonna see me coming back. The costs have risen dramatically. And I did say at town meeting that when this began, this was pre-pandemic, we were only looking at iron and manganese. PFAS did not even exist. Now PFAS exists, so the plant, we stretched you'll hear, but we stretched the plant to allow for PFAS to be installed in it when the time comes.
Within the 10 million that the town allocated?
It won't be within the $10 million.
Gonna be
I'm
more
gonna be
than that.
asking, yes, I'll be asking for more money.
And it'll do PFAS, manganese, and,
No, it still will not do PFAS. PFAS
Not
will come
PFAS.
afterwards. They consider manganese an emerging contaminant and PFAS another kind of contaminant, so how they get hit with, you are able to get grants. Different grants cover different things. There's the SRF and there's the Clean Water Trust. So the hope is that we can get more money out of the Clean Water Trust. We have $3.1 million that we've been allocated out of the Clean Water Trust. They allocated 1.6 of it towards Manley Street, so that means the rest of that 3.1 will probably go to Sear Norman. And if we apply again against the PFAS, the hope is that we might be able to get some more money out of them.
so what's the 10 million doing?
So the 10 million hasn't gone anywhere. We haven't spent a dime on it.
Okay.
We took free cash that we had prior to for engineering, so all of our engineering dollars are already prepaid.
Okay. And it just was allocated, but you haven't done anything with it yet?
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Not until we get, you have to fund an SRF program fully, or they pull the money back and you get kicked out. And then you have to reapply again. And like I said, they're not taking on as many projects anymore. Because now everybody has to meet the federal guidelines for PFAS.
Can you just remind me, what does SRF stand for?
State revolving fund.
Thank you.
And they also have a principal forgiveness program, but we're kind of a, I don't want to say ritzy town, but we don't have any environmental justice, we don't have a poor population, so the most that we'll get out of principal forgiveness out of the SRF is 3% probably. That's what I've read for the most part. So in the end, they can forgive 3% out of the Sear Norman, they can forgive 3% out of the Manley Street program.
But we won't qualify for that.
We'll qualify for 3%, we don't get any more than that.
I'll let everybody know what the interest rate is on the SRF.
It is 0, so, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So funding for those big projects aren't funded by water rates, is that right? It's funded by bonding?
Well,
Tax
it'll be
rates.
by the state revolving fund. They're gonna loan us the money at 0%.
But we
don't know
pay
if-
for it out of water rates, right?
It is paid for out of water rates.
It is.
Yes.
The debt payment is.
Pardon me?
The debt payment is.
The debt payment.
Yes.
Correct, so the SRF is
It's
just,
like taking out a
Everything
loan.
is
Right.
funded.
That's correct.
It's a loan with no interest on it.
instead of going to the bank, you go to the state.
And we were lucky that the town kicked in ARPA money. We had, I think, 1.3 when we began. I think we're down in the 900s now with that, heading into the Manley Street project. So the Manley Street project could come in with almost no debt, so we might actually be better when we come out of it. But there's no way to tell till we get to the end. There's a lot of glitches going on as we finish out Manley.
So can you just, because people aren't as in tune as you are with all these different projects, the Manley Street project is to do what?
It is to remove PFAS from the Manley, there are 2 wells out on Manley Street.
Okay.
And
And
they,
that project is underway,
it is underway and
Okay.
supposedly
finish-
done by July.
July.
And then we'll go through testing and qualifications to bring it online.
Okay.
So this PFAS is a naturally occurring
It
substance?
is not naturally.
It never was, it's,
No.
No.
it's a chemical.
And-
It's
and
a
we're-
chemical from like, what is it, flame retardant?
It's flame retardant, it's waterproofing, there's a lot of things. The rug probably has it in it, the clothes you're wearing probably have it in it. If you use fabric softener, that's probably there, the dryer sheets.
Your non-stick pans.
The meat, when you buy meat at the supermarket, even vegetables are plastic wrap, that has PFAS in it. It's in the vegetables that you buy. It's literally in everything now. It's in your blood supply.
And
It's
in
just
the
like
water.
microplastics are the next thing to come along.
Yeah.
But we're groundwater, not under the influence of surface. So that means that the water that you get out of your faucet never sees the light of day till it gets to your faucet.
Can you say that again? The water, what?
The water that you get out of your faucet never sees the light of day until it comes out of your faucet. It's
all
groundwater, not
underground.
under the influence of surface water. So,
Not under the influence of surface water.
Yes.
That was the part that made me giggle, sorry.
right, it's a big thing regulatory wise. And we came close with Manley, we went through special testing, particle analysis, and we proved out that we were not under the influence because one of the wells literally sits 3 feet away from a river.
And that's a good thing to be not under the influence, right?
That's correct, yes.
Because too many other things can get in.
There's less contaminants in it. Unfortunately, PFAS is there. When our wells shut down, our water flows out to Brockton. When our wells turn on, we draw from Brockton to us.
Water flow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
I don't know if that's good.
Anybody have any questions? Any more questions on the water department?
Well, it's nice because, you know, the people that are watching
Yeah,
this here
it's a
all.
lot. It's a lot of chemicals, a lot of stuff going on.
It's everywhere then.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't eat anything now that doesn't have it in it, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard
Thanks
work.
for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank
I
you.
hope you all have a great night.
You
too.
too.
You too.
Thanks, Wayne.
You can go home and sleep now.
Yeah.
Who's this person?
You doing the rest?
I
You're
am.
doing the rest?
Yeah, they're all the smaller budgets that are basically level funded.
We won't put you on the hot seat, you can stay there.
So I'll go through them fairly quick if you have any questions, and we do it every year. So the town accountant, except for contractual increases, is level funded. Town council, will level fund that as well at 87,000. Cable TV committee, that's level funded at 1,100. The planning board, they have a contractual increase in line 1, but they have also voted, I placed a letter in your packet so you could see it, is that they also voted an increase in a stipend to themselves. So again, as we go through the process, we'll see as to what the Board of Selectmen will weigh in on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stipends. Do we have a sort of a list of who gets what and we
When-
rationalize it?
Well, I can't rationalize it, and I know them all. They're different. I look at, it's difficult because there's these are elected officials.
Yeah.
And so I've always 100% deferred to the town, the culture of the town, and to
Mhm.
elected officials. So, I don't know why one board gets paid different than the other amount. It all predates me. So I have to make a fair assumption that this is what the town has been very comfortable with for decades. And I feel awkward if I were to try to disrupt that.
Yeah, it just doesn't
but-
really give a reason for $100 per person increase.
It does not, and I do think that, I don't like the arbitrariness of it when one board looks in for an increase and everybody else stays the same, especially since, quite frankly.
Or
I
some
think-
get none.
Yeah.
Well, some get none. I
Right.
mean, like school committee, as you know, doesn't, but it's also by statute.
And they are elected too.
But correct. But some, like the library trustees, they don't get paid a stipend and they're elected.
Mhm.
So,
It's inconsistent.
It is inconsistent. And again, I can only assume that because this is all approved not by me or by the Board of Selectmen or by, well, FinCom, it's approved by town meeting,
Yeah,
that there's a reason why town meeting has always historically done this.
right,
Um,
okay,
So anyway, they've put in for it.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's the travel, Dave?
So the travel is because they don't receive a salary stipend, if you will. So in theory, the planning board, whenever they do permit subdivisions, the idea is that they would go out to inspect, and that's their travel stipend to reimburse them for their time and the uses of their car.
Thanks.
And the next three are all very small boards that are level funded except for the small, so rent control is up, just under 3% because of the clerical person. ADA is level funded at 4,000. They don't have a clerical person, but they do have a ADA coordinator. And the Municipal Building Needs Committee, again, it says 2.6%, but you see it's actually $40. They're small budgets, so
Yeah, yeah,
it's very small ones.
Okay. Any questions on any of these budgets? I'm going to do them fast, but
I have none.
kind of small.
Not really.
Thank you.
No,
Well,
no,
it-
very much.
They call that type of thing budget dust, the government.
Budget dust,
Budget dust, these small.
the small ones. Alrighty then. Next meeting is
May 6th, I'm sorry, March 6th.
March 6th.
I wish it was May, it'd be warmer.
I know, right?
Time flies.
We're all hoping for spring by then. Anything else? I think that's it, right? We have to talk about this
Give me a
week.
list of emails.
So I had requested that to get sent out, apparently it did not, so it's gonna get sent out.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're done.